Steve and Jill arrived today from Birmingham to Ronald's Way. All is quiet, there are no crowds, just a lounge without a sound. I look around, I see the flights, and wait inside beneath the lights. A TV screen, but oh so small, chocolate machine against the wall. A taxi sits outside the gate, while in arrivals lounge I wait, counting time while adding some. But just a moment, here they come. We took the car and drove right down to see the sights of Castletown. The candlestick was there to see, with Castle hid behind a tree. Port St. Mary came up soon, which we thought was quite a boon, as we sat free on benches there to settle down and eat our fare. Cregneash was next upon the list. The old world place could not be missed. From there the calf we went and found. 'Twas only just across the sound. Port Erin came in next to last. Without much time we drove right past, but took a minute just at will to spy the beach below the hill. Oh, mountains then we had to soar, with popping ears we did endure, but journey hard was worth the time. To Ferny Arble we arrived. We took a walk right down the hill, but then to climb right up again. With panting steps we hit the top, but many times we had to stop. Then on to Ramsey, home we went. The cups of tea were heaven sent. From there we set off for the traff to settle down and have a laugh. Home again, down darkened prom, back to the house where we came from. For evening meal, a welcome sight, then off to bed for an early night. The following day we went off to see the Wizard of Balladlast Glen. We walked in the mud as far as we could to a Tholton from way back when. To the river we went, down a well-trodden trail, past the trees that were covered in moss, then onto a bridge where we held to the rail to steady while walking across. Then off through the trees with glances and looks. The weather we thought it was fine. We met with the wizard. Steve passed him his books, which had dropped off with passage of time. We travelled right back to a very strange place, known here as Cashtalin Ard. The place was a grave, an Iron Age made, of earthwork and ancient old stone. Then back to the car at the top of the rise, to go beachcombing down at Portmore. The driftwood we prized for its length and its size, and some shells that we found on the shore. Our next port of call, please do not besmirch, was a trip into Mackle itself. We went through the gate to a graveyard of late, and found our way into the church. The place it was quiet, no sound could be heard, was quiet as silence could be. We walked through the nave and then out through the graves. We were peaceful and tranquil and free. Then up to the lighthouse on top of the head, through gauze that shone out in the light. We looked right on down at the top of the crown and the glistening sea. What a sight! We strolled around in warm sunshine amid views that just made us look. Then Jill sat down on her favourite bench and pictured herself with a book. We went from there to the Point of Ayr, right up at the top of the isle. A long pebble beach was well within reach, and we hung around there for a while. On our return, we stopped off with Wisdom, where Norman had taken his rest. There in the church was his well-tended grave, where the much-loved clown is now blessed. The evening was fine, with its food and its wine, and cribbage an absolute must. 3-0 was the score, and we could have had more, but the Sandman had scattered his dust. We woke the next day to a walk on the beach, down Glen and then on to sand hopping. To the shipwreck we went, then the day was well spent in Ramsey for charity shopping. Then we went down to that town of renown, to Laxey to look at the wheel. We parked at the beach, which was just out of reach. The walking we did was unreal. We went to the mill, where wool it is woven, and sampled the warmth of the cloth. Then out of the door to the mine-washing floor for yet more steps to add to the path. We got home in right time to have a good rest. We needed it 'cause we're all old. And then we went out for a meal and a beer, but we wrapped up because it was cold. The very next day was the last we could play, as tomorrow was time to go home. Peel was the place for its castle and space, and plenty of places to roam. We didn't grow thinner when sat down to dinner. Marine was the restaurant of choice. The roast it was good, as home cooking should, and we echoed it all with one voice. We went back that evening for wine and for cheeses, and back to that old game of crib. This time we got stuffed. 0-3, only just. An away win, but close to the jib. The sun came up early. We drove to the airport. Ferry Bridge was the route that we took. We said our goodbyes before the plane flies, but next time we'll ask them for luck.